Well, Piper's home, I hope safe and sound. He seems to have come back none the worse for wear anyway. Well, that's racing for you. You win some, you lose some, but that was some bad day. As you can see, he's very stressed by his day out at the races. Stressed me. Piper's was shaken, but not really hurt after his fall. Still, it was too soon for him to start serious training, so I turned him out to let him unwind, physically and mentally. Meanwhile, I wanted to be sure my next runner, Falcon Ridge, was confident in his jumping. At times like this, it's useful having top jockeys as your friends. I asked Tony McCoy and Barry Fenton to come in and do the schooling. Barry's arrived and he's going to school Falcon Ridge, who hopefully will be running on Monday. I wanted Falcon Ridge to have as much schooling as possible over hurdles, which he'll face in his next race. That's better.
He really lifts them back legs up.
Whoa!
Lovely jump.
My resident treader inner heading back across the field.
Oh, fuck it up.
Beautiful. Well, that was certainly better. He's Falcon Ridge has just improved again and again, which is a big relief, seeing as he's going to run Monday. Tony and Barry weren't available for Falcon Ridge's race, so I had to book a jockey. Oh, hello. I was wondering if you could tell me what jockeys are available in the novice hurdle at Exeter tomorrow. Falcon Ridge. Yeah. That's lovely. Thanks a lot. Bye. And I've just managed to sort out my jockeys for tomorrow. Momentary panic, but things seem to be all right. Jim Colotti is going to ride him. Race day. But, like every other day, I still had to harrow and roll the gallops. Next, it was feeding time. I have to be truthful now and say that, to be honest, is just where I would like to be. Sadly, it's a mad quick change, and in the car and off to the races. Oh, it's a nice saddle. Finding the right race for the right horse is one of the biggest problems of being a trainer. Falcon Ridge is a big horse, and I'd chosen this race for him as it was the ideal distance on a lovely galloping course. Although I'd known the jockey Jim Colotti for some time, he'd never ridden one of my horses before. We're now standing in the parade ring. Wait for Jim to come in and give him a leg up. Just to give us a chance to have a look at what else is running in the race.
Alright.
But you never thought you'd do that to me, did you?
On candid camera.
Yeah. I want a jockey that's not going to be the last into the paddock. I haven't yet had one.
So hard to get, you know.
Oh, no, it is. I mean, don't be overly hard on him, but yeah, he will keep galloping. She says with certainty. He certainly did at Fontwell, and that's the impression he gives you.
Yeah.
I think he might be all right in his own sort of class somewhere.
Right.
But I think Barry was quite pleased with him last time. And,
Yeah.
But he's only 4 and he's massive.
Well, now the runners are about to step onto the track for our next race, the double sprint, novice hurdle.
Snap. All right.
Black with the yellow chevron.
Good luck, Jim.
Under Silas orders, and they're off. In the first half mile, tachometer from towards the outside Falcon Ridge, racing on the inside Michigan as a close third. These followed by Elegant de Cross, who's now disputing third on the outside, and they're starting to go downhill now. And tachometer shows in front of Elegant de Cross, who's a close second. Behind these comes Falcon Ridge in third. These three now beginning to draw clear of their rivals. Mr. Perfecta may be the best of the others, but he's got 10 lengths to find on the leading group. As they come down now towards the last.
Good boy, now go on, stay forward. Go on, little chap. Go on, little chap. Go on, little chap. Go on, little chap. Go on, little chap.
Coming up to get the better.
Oh, he's run a lovely race and finished fourth. Ran well, hasn't he? He's just got beaten for third. But he's a nice horse.
There's nothing trying to keep him out, just stay away from him, you know. I didn't want to go on in front of him, which maybe I should have done.
I don't know, because I just don't know that he's brave enough to go into his hurdles in front like that.
That's the impression he gave me.
Yeah,
Further, really.
thanks, Jim. The owners aren't always at the races, so I speak to them as soon as I can. He's jumped the last three in the straight absolutely beautifully, quick as you like. Yeah, and I think he is just a bit of a lazy horse. Yeah, so you can go home, go on holiday now with a little smile on your face. Good, bye. One very happy owner. Hey, job done. On the way home, I got a call from Hannah, who was with Falcon Ridge. She was worried about him, as he seemed to be in a lot of pain. Do you know how bad he is? Right. Falcon Ridge's got colic. I knew it was going to be too good to be true. If he's got a bad attack of it, then... I mean, if it's a very bad attack, then he could die from it. Of any horse that was ever going to get colic after a race, it would always be Falcon Ridge, because he does anything to make life difficult. Poor little chap. There he is, home. Feels so awful when they've run their little hearts out before and suddenly they get that. It's, I think, gives them a bit of a panic as well. I would just like to see him having a quick drink, but he doesn't seem mad keen to do that just at the minute. But he looks fairly relaxed there at the moment, and I think we'll just keep a careful eye on him through the night and hope that he's all right. It's now 12:30, and this is my second time being down to check him since he's been back. Ooh, it's freezing. I managed to fall asleep on the sofa and wake up feeling particularly the worse for wear. But the little boy seems all right. Oh, God, it's cold. He's had a good drink. Some empty buckets. You're all right. You feel nice and warm. Yes, you do. You feel nice and warm. You're a good boy, aren't you? Falcon Ridge recovered in a few days, but over the next couple of months, conditions weren't really right for my horses to race. Wet weather meant I only entered 7, and I didn't have a winner.
Toasted in second place, any favours at all. Father Christmas is between those two, and then comes Flush with Explain This.
He's a good little mare. Piper's Rock had got his confidence back in training and was leading in his next race until disaster struck.
And Piper's Rock is almost down. He was right down on his tummy there, and a brilliant recovery by McCoy, but he's gone from first to last but three. Piper's Rock, he's called it a day. He's pulled him up very quick in fifth place.
Piper's injured a tendon badly and had to rest completely. With at least one horse out injured, I was glad to be approached by new owners asking me to buy them a horse.
Myself, take the good side. 1,000 guineas a bit for now. I'm 2,000 guineas value, I think 250. 2,240.
The top horse here cost 125,000 guineas. My budget was a little less at £7,500. On this occasion, nothing caught my eye.
So.
Race day again. This time a chance for Falcon Ridge. I've gone a long time now without a winner, and this will be the first real proper chance I've had since Piper's. And it would do me an awful lot of good as far as the public are concerned, as far as anyone thinking about sending me a horse is concerned, to see that I hopefully have got some clue about how to train them. And obviously, sort of percentage of prize money is a definite bonus. But for this sort of race, and at this stage in my career, it's much more important to see that I've trained a winner, be it of a donkey derby down in Brighton or of a great race somewhere else.
Single man is going to jump it last. And Apple John, not so far in front as he was on the previous circuit, but he's still in front with another circuit to go. Hawkeye Citizen faces second, just being pushed along. Billy the Lark in third, not so far in front as he was. Mistake in second, but still staying.
Well, I'm actually just having a walk out on the course now, just to see what the ground's actually like. You can see there are some fairly good divots being made, and it's certainly soft enough. You see in places there's even wet water just lying even on the surface. To be honest, when it's like this, it's almost better that there is, because it means the horses can actually slop through rather than get stuck in the ground. There's nothing worse than sticky ground for being both tiring and really unpleasant for them to jump out of. And Falcon Ridge is certainly a horse that wants to get as much confidence in his jumping as possible. And ground like that won't help him. As per usual at Taunton, it's cold, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I'd love to have a winner here purely because it's just so pretty. All right, I'd love to have a winner. It doesn't matter where it is. Tony was riding for me, and the bookies made Falcon Ridge the favourite, but I was less confident because of the wet ground.
Under Siler's orders, and they're off. Blackdown Hills handicap hurdle, 2 miles and 1 furlong, and 9 flights to be jumped. Falcon Ridge with his white blaze.
Come on, Tony.
But Fencer's Quest. Then circuit to go.
Don't talk to me.
High-low, the top weight here. Knockaroo is half a length away. Further half has been past the length then. The Fencer's Quest. Sharing third wide is Falcon Ridge.
Come on, Tony. Don't get beaten by... Come on, Tony.
Down is Falcon Ridge in the centre.
Go on, Tony! Ride him, Tony! Go on, Tony! Go on, Tony! Go on, Tony! Go on, Tony! Don't get caught! Go on! Go on! Go on! Go on!
Won it well, didn't it?
We did. We won. It was great to get my second winner just before the end of the jump season. He says, I'm a clever boy. We were dead chuffed. ran a blinder, he did. You can go into my good books now. The flat racing season starts in March and runs alongside the jump season until November. I'd had a good first jump season with 2 winners, but 2 of my horses were injured. I couldn't afford to wait too long for another success. Flat races start in stalls, and that means getting horses used to them in training. While the jumpers went off to the gallops, I headed for the stalls with 2 of my flat runners, Rebellion and Buster. Rebellion is an experienced flat runner, and I wanted Buster to learn from him. Buster was having trouble going through the stalls, and wisely Rebellion kept himself clear of the situation. I wasn't quite so smart. He just kicked the back of the gate, and it was my fault because I just wasn't thinking that he would be like that, and I should have stood more over than I did. If it starts to become a battle of wills, then I'm probably going to lose the battle. I'm going. Okay. Basically, so long as they've never had a fright, the majority of them are pretty good in the stalls anyway. You know, they're pretty laid back about them. I think I've decided after the stalls that I'm probably safer on top of them than I am down on the ground. Oh, it's such a cute shot looking between their ears. It's what I see every day. I'm just going to take Nansen out now. He's going to do a fair bit again this morning, just so that I can guarantee that he is absolutely spot on for Tuesday at Hereford. As far as the stalls are concerned, Buster Loop will go through once more, probably on Monday. Rebellion knows his job pretty well, and I won't bother doing it with him again. And then he'll be ready to run on Thursday. Piper's injury was preying on my mind. I was keeping a careful eye on him, as training him too soon could make things worse. Hello, Pipies. Get your nose out the way, Flam. His leg's actually all bandaged up, but he's perfectly sound on it. But bandaged and cared just to give him support. It's going to be quite a long road to see which way he's going to go, whether, you know, within a year he'll be all right to go off as a riding horse. But I think, to be honest, I'm not prepared to try again in 2 years' time, because I would hate for anything to happen to him that would mean that his racing or his basic life would be over, because if he injured himself again, he'd probably be no good for anything. And so I think that we'll patch him back up and have him good for something. The following day, I decided it was time to stop hoping against hope and get the vet to do a thorough scan of Pipe's bad leg. At least I would know for sure if his career was over. Well, certainly I've not felt as low as I do just at the moment. In 8 months, I've had 3 horses injure tendons, and probably statistically it's not too bad. What is bad, as far as I'm concerned, is that with only 11 horses, that means basically a third of my string are sort of knocked out. And not just that, but certainly the 3 of them were possibly my 3 nicest horses as well, so just typical. All the time you're just fighting to get going, and then something like that happens, and it's just really, really disappointing. So I suppose you take a deep breath and keep going. Piper's had been my first winner. Now the vet confirmed he wasn't going to be racing any more this year, but at least there was a chance to be back for next season.
Hey, you're not going out. Good boy.
If Buster was to have a career, he had to go through the stalls.
Go on with you. Good boy. Good boy. And keep going, keep going, keep going. Right, bring him round and walk him through again. Come on, walk on. Go on. Walk on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Now get in there. Go on. Good boy. Keep his head straight. Go. Brilliant. Perfect.
Buster was renamed Le Loop by his owners, and having now mastered the stalls, he was ready to race. The next suitable race happened to be at a premier course, Goodwood. The owners were going to be there.
It's all right. Yes, it is.
After gallops, feeding and mucking out, I wanted to look my best for the race.
Well, slight improvement anyway. Well, let's go.
I'd been to Goodwood before, but never as a trainer. Le Loop was running late in the afternoon with a jockey I'd never used before. I waited with the owners in the paddock. At last it was Le Loop's race, but with the ground being soft, I really didn't know what to expect. Le Loop was running in yellow colours.
Well, it's windy and wet. It certainly isn't glorious Goodwood today, but I think I'm going to watch it on the screen out of the wind and actually sort of get a close look and see what's happening, to see how he handles this ground. He's got a choice of screens anyway, but he just stepped on himself in the paddock just as I was about to pop the jockey out, so just sort of knocked his joint a bit, but I think he'll be all right.
Was nicely away with Arrogant Prince, and down the stand side Hidden Fort showing plenty of early pace, tracked by Le Loop. The white face of Arrogant Prince is now just the leader from Hidden Fort, still travelling strongly against the stand side rail. Looking further back, Deep Blue is now starting to make his move down the centre of the track, but still with 2 or 3 lengths to find. Le Loop is next, running an excellent race, and further back in Basil and Atalan Boy, the back marker now in picture. The furlong marker coming up, and it's Gary Stevens on Duke of Aston. There's the lead here with Le Loop, and on the far side Deep Blue putting in a good late effort. This Duke of Aston with Deep Blue cutting him down, but Gary Stevens, 2 winners last night at Sandown, a winner here at Goodwood. Duke of Aston wins it. In second place, Deep Blue, and third across the line, Le Loop.
Well, the little chap's run a stormer and finished third. Really come on for his last run. I couldn't be happier with him. What a star chap. Couldn't be better. Bloody hell. He's third at Goodwood. Yee-hee. Grade 1 track. He'll be all right, that looks like.
It's a nice little horse, give me a nice feel. Genuine.
Yeah, you're genuine. Yeah, back it a bit.
Genuine, that's what you need.
Smash it.
Good boy, isn't he? Nice little boy, isn't he? Very, very nice.
You better go and find the box driver so you can go home.
I know. I'm going to wash him off. Good gear for that.
Well done.
Do you want me to wash him off? Pardon? All right, well, I'm going to wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well done, Jackie. It's been a really, really good day. It has a huge sense of occasion here. It's a fantastic racecourse in fantastic setting, and to even have a runner here, you feel a bit of a minion with that, considering it's my
I've got two 2-year-olds and one older flat horse. But he's held his own, or at least more than held his own, and so now it's time to go home. But I am chuffed to bits with him, really am, with that chap, and I'm sure that he'll come on from that as well. Happy owners, happy horse, happy trainer. I survived my first season as a trainer and attracted more owners. My stables grew from 6 horses to 16 in just over a year. My first winner, Piper's Rock, won't run for a year, but Falcon Ridge is in good form. Buster, or Leloup, is sprinting well in training and seems to rise to the occasion at the races. Maybe he'll return to Goodwood as a winner one day.
Cockatoo trying one last time, but Piper's Rock wins by about a length. The faller there, Piper's Rock. He's quickly on his feet.
Piper's Rock, he's called it a day. He's pulled him up very quick in 5th place.
And as they race up towards the line, going to be double for Tony McCoy here this afternoon as Falcon Ridge wins the Blackdown Hills handicap hurdle. 5th and last finish.
But still with 2 or 3 lengths to find. Leloup is next, running an excellent race. And 3rd across the line, Leloup.
And he's going to make the presentation to a very special person, the trainer, Miss Emma Lavelle, and that was her first ever winner under rules. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Emma Lavelle.